Ah yes, Roblox asymmetrical horror games. The game with very cool killers, very awesome survivors, and of course, very interesting lore. And today, I thought it'd be a great idea to rank all of these killer lores in these fun asymmetrical horror games. And the way I'll be ranking them based off how cool they are, how interesting and unique their story is, and then I'll be placing them on a tier list. And yeah, let's start off with all the Forsaken characters first. But in today's video, let me just focus on the OG killers first. I'll probably do another video on the other ones later. Starting out with the Jason. Let's start off at the beginning. So, the Slasher, whose real name is Jason, is a bacon-haired Robloxian. As a child, Jason was isolated. He had no friends, he was often bullied by other fellow bacon hairs, he was considered unattractive, very weak, very unpopular, and pretty much useless. He pretty much had no purpose in life, he was just existing, which is, pretty sad. But the only person who truly cared for him was his mother. Her name was Paula. As for Jason's father, we don't really know what happened to him. We can just assume that he's dead, he's gone, or maybe he went to go grab some milk or something. But fast forward some years later, the Bacon Empire, which is some sort of bacon-only group, uses massive army to carry out a systematic genocide against the guest Robloxians. These guys will do things like public execution and forced labor amongst these guest players, and this will escalate into the guest war between the Bacon Empire and Roblox. Also, I'm pretty sure this has to do something with the last guest, but this is like the dark version of it. But anyways, Jason was conscripted to the Bacon Empire forces. I believe he was drafted, he was basically forced to join, and during the time of training, my boy became stronger and stronger. Matter of fact, Jason actually felt something for once. He experienced a sense of equality, something he never felt before. His strength for the military training put him on the same level as his fellow bacon-haired soldiers. He no longer felt useless, he actually felt something for one time in his life. Now during a time of this conflict, we don't know my boy actually killed any guest Robloxians. He probably did, to be honest, because he had to stay loyal to the Bacon Empire, you know, killing and genociding guest players. But unfortunately, good things always come to an end, and during one of Jason's battles, he was defeated and forced to surrender. This is where everything took a turn. He was basically taken as a prisoner of war and transported to Area 51. This is where everything changed. Pretty much my boy became a test subject in a top secret super soldier project, and this is where Jason was experimented on cruel and inhumane tests. We don't really know the specifics of these tests, but we do know one of the tests contained the Necrobloxicon. That's right people, the same exact Necrobloxicon from Roblox Pressure, oh my goodness. But okay, in all seriousness, this Necrobloxicon was emitting some sort of feeling, some sort of energy, and some sort of voice. As Jason was possessing this book, he began hearing a motherly voice speaking out to him, as if it was actually his mother, the only one who truly cared for him when he was at his lowest. However, it wasn't actually her voice. Whatever it was, the Necrobloxicon was just mimicking her voice to try to get a hold of Jason, and it ended up working pretty well. And this is where Jason lost all sense of reality and adopted that violent persona he is known for today. Eventually, somehow, someway, Jason was able to escape thanks to a coordinated breakout alongside Jeff the Killer and Slender Man. Oh my goodness, dude, this story, bro. And yeah, Jeff the Killer and Slender Man would later become his closest allies and partners in crime, which is actually kind of funny because I'm pretty sure in the horror hotel map, there is a reference to that with their clothing or something. That's pretty cool. But yeah, the exact details of this breakout remains unknown. We don't really know how this thing was like coordinated, how they even met up in the first place and tried to like talk this thing out. They just somehow escaped. But the mastermind behind this coordinated attack was led by someone named the Operator. We don't know who this Operator is, the identity is unknown. And yeah, when it comes to Jason's arrival to Forsaken, we don't really know what happened. Perhaps the Spectre probably took him in or something. And yeah, that's pretty much a basic lore of the slasher, oh my goodness. Okay, so me personally, I did like this Jason lore a lot. It really showed his character development, how this guy was worthless, and then he got stronger and stronger. But then eventually my boy got captured, got experimented on like an SCP, and then he became the slasher, wowie. And on top of that, this story also references the last guest. Overall, easy S tier lore right there, I like it a lot. And yes, we're actually going to be alternating with the Die of Death characters, starting out with the Pursuer. Just for a brief summary, the Pursuer is some sort of dangerous apex predator. Not a Roblox predator, but like a hunter, if you know what I mean. This guy is some sort of unknown entity that just wants fresh meat. And fun fact, the pursuer can only eat fresh meat because he has a very specific dietary habit. After killing his victim, he only has enough time to eat 1 or 2 bites before it's considered unfresh, which is actually taking fresh meat to an entirely different level. But anyways, the pursuer has speeds and hunting abilities unmatched. Thanks to those abilities, he's able to turn completely invisible. This thing allows him to sneak up on unsuspecting prey before quickly dispatching them without any trace at all. By the time you hear his howl far away from the distance, it's already too late. You're dead meat, or in this case, you're fresh meat. And yeah, let me just go over some facts real quick. So the pursuer is a male, his pronouns are he, him, he's pretty standard I guess. And it looks like the pursuer is not a species, there's only one pursuer in existence, and this pursuer is very capable of shifting his bone structure around. Scientists aren't able to conclude how he does it, but they suspect this is the way he can turn invisible. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the pursuer. Gotta be honest with this pursuer lore, there's really not much about it. Besides the description right here, and also some other stuff, I do think that the pursuer being the most random entity to ever exist is pretty funny. Literally, he's the only thing in the world that looks like this thing right here. And for the most part, I think his lore is alright. Let me just place him in a beach here. And yes, people, that's gonna bring us on to the cool kid. So the cool kid is a naturally mischievous 10-year-old who was abandoned at birth and left on the doorstep of an extremely infamous hacker, 007. We don't know who left this guy at the doorstep, nor do we really know the reason why this is even happening, but all we know is that he's at the hands and responsibility of 007. Now, some of you people know, 007 was an infamous exploiter known for using his powers of the cool GUI. And although 007 was mostly finished with hacking during this time, he was very reluctant to raise a child, but he ultimately took the cool kid in and raised him anyways. What an amazing father he is. So yeah, during this time, 007 was retired from all the hacking and exploiting, but he did decide to create a weaker version of his old cool GUI. But eventually, somehow, someway, the cool kid just discovered the original version of the cool GUI. Maybe he just found it or something. And yeah, with the access of the original and strong cool GUI, the cool kid formed an exploiting group known as Team Cool Kid. And basically, this team would go on to terrorize many Roblox games and reach a high level of chaos comparable to 007's crime. And Team Cool Kid would target multiple games, including work at a pizza place and natural disaster survival. Which, by the way, fun fact, my boy Elliot actually blacklisted 007 and Cool Kid from work at a pizza place. That's pretty funny. And despite Team Cool Kid generating a lot of negativity among the public, with all the hacking and exploiting, there were still many players that were inspired by them and chose to join Team Cool Kid. Like, they just wanted to, hack, bro. Now back to 007, he was observing the entire thing. He did discover his son was using the original cool GUI, but to be honest, 007 didn't really care. He never did anything serious about it. The only thing he would try to do is hide the cool GUI from the cool kid, but this would just enable the cool kid to repeatedly retrieve that cool GUI and cause even more chaos. And yeah, that's pretty much the story of Cool Kid, and I guess a little bit of 007. And okay, the Cool Kid. I think the Cool Kid's lore is pretty funny. My boy is abandoned by some random person, and then now he's at the hands of 007. And the next thing you know, my boy found a cool GUI, started to hack and exploit Roblox games, and became the biggest menace by terrorizing people. He started his own clan, and pretty much took over Roblox. And yeah, I think the Cool Kid lore is pretty hilarious. Easy A tier right there. Matter of fact, let me just put it in S tier, just because it's a plead LMS. And yeah, that's gonna move us on to the Badware. So the Badware is one of the many entities originating from the Toolbox. If you guys don't know, the Toolbox is a wonderful machine, and apparently this guy is the sole culprit for the mass breakout that occurred at the TASF. I'm not too sure what that stands for, but it's something. But yeah, even though the Badware did come from the Toolbox, the creation of the Badware is unknown, and it possesses an anomalous ability to inject a powerful virus into any nearby machinery, gaining the ability to take full control of those infected machines, which allows the Badware to expand its own strength and influence further. And yeah, let's go over some fun facts. So the Badware's pronouns are it and they. If the Badware was a human, their favorite food would be spaghetti, which is kind of funny because it's like spaghetti code, if you know what I mean. The red and green buttons on the side of Badware's head will make some silly noises if you press them. And yeah, apparently someone actually considered hacking Badware, but it went very wrong. I think that person probably died or something, I'm not too sure. It looks like once the Badware hacks into a device, you cannot get it removed, it's permanently there. But unfortunately, the Badware cannot get past Kildroid, because apparently Kildroid's complex firewall is very strong or something. And wowie, that's pretty much the overall lore of the Badware. Just like the Pursuer, there isn't too much information about this killer, but for the most part, we do know that the end goal of the Badware is to infect and hack everything, because I'm pretty sure the Badware is just one entity. He's kind of like a hive mind or something like that, which I think is very cool. I want to see more from him, and also other dive death killers. Let me just place him in an A tier. I think he's pretty cool. And yes, people, that's gonna bring us on to John Doe. So once upon a time, John Doe and his wife Jane Doe were happily married. And during this time, both John Doe and Jane Doe were employed at the Roblox headquarters, like the one from Block Hills, oh my goodness. And yeah, these people would pretty much serve the Roblox admins and were assigned to test faulty code, which will ultimately be their biggest nightmare ever. On March 18, 2017, John Doe became corrupted by a highly destructive parasite composed of faulty, defund code from Roblox's earlier days. We don't really know what kind of code this was, or who even wrote this code, but yeah, this old defunct code parasite would spread throughout John Doe's body, transforming him into the monstrous state we now know him as today. It is alive and it behaves on its own, actively destroying John Doe's identity, his memories, and consciousness. And unfortunately with the memories, this thing made him forget his wife Jane Doe, the woman he truly loved, and the depressing part is that this corruption is permanent, as removing his parasites would result in John Doe's death. Die of death.
Fresh meat.
But yeah, ever since March 18, 2017, rumors have spread about what happened. Some people believe his wife was responsible for his disappearance. Maybe she did this thing on purpose. And then there are other people who thought John Doe did this on purpose to take over Roblox, yeah. But hopefully one day, he'll be able to meet Jane Doe and actually see her for the last time. And yes, people, the John Doe. I really like this guy's story, how this person pretty much lived a normal life with his wife. Yes, I know I didn't really go into the nitty-gritty of his relationship with Jane Doe, but at the end of the day, everything worked out fine, until he got infected with the corruption, and then his life changed. And I feel like for now, I'll place John Doe in A tier. I like this guy's story a lot. And yeah, that's gonna move us on to the Artful. So the Artful is a French magician who's had deep fondness for magic since birth, and he was a popular celebrity before the incident. So pretty much after one of his performances went particularly badly, the Artful let his emotions get the better of him and resorted to taking out his frustrations on the entire audience, which I'm pretty sure he like killed or something. I'm not too sure. But my boy now lives a life as a criminal on the run. And yeah, let's go over some things about him. So the Artful is 26 years old. The Artful's full name is JwJer Fromage, like cheese or something. Before becoming a magician, his previous job was a construction worker, which does make sense though because there is a construction skin in the game, like Builder Artful, that's really nice. But unfortunately, he was involved in an accident that resulted in him getting a paid leave. We don't really know what this accident was. Hopefully it didn't kill anyone, like it's not too bad. And this is actually a pretty big canon or like butterfly effect, because after he got paid to leave, he used his free time to get back into studying magic. And as a result, he learned how to do real magic instead of just magic tricks. And then that's when he became a full-time magician. And then he had his instance. And yeah, apparently the Artful was a civilian before this. This guy just put on an outfit, makeup, and a mask, and became the Artful. Oh yeah, and also this guy's bald. And yeah, that's pretty much it about the Artful. Wowie. And yes, people, the Artful. Gotta be honest, this is probably one of the more funnier kind of lore out there. I like the character development that the Artful had. My boy was just a builder, and then apparently something happened at some work site. Then this was a huge turning point, because my boy started learning magic again, therefore he started doing his performances until something evil happens. But if I had to rate his lore, easy S tier right there. I really like his come up and how his character development made the man who he is right now. I like it a lot. Now let's move on to the Pillar Chase 2 monsters, and starting off, we have the weird yellow smiling thing. Now apparently this guy was the original Pac-Man, or at least in his own universe he is considered that Pac-Man, and speaking of which, he was a creator and ruler of that world, but unfortunately he was defeated by some sort of powerful being in that said world. Bro, imagine getting defeated in your own universe, like what even is that? But yeah, in this Pillar Chase 2 world, which I guess is like the regular world, the weird yellow smiley thing no longer knows his true self and strength that he once had, but he's still very extremely dangerous and powerful. He can do things such as create life, teleport to others, remove and reattach his limbs, increase his head size, and reshape into anything he wants. However, he is too stupid to use any of those abilities because, apparently he got defeated by this pinky, weird yellow smiley thing after an intense battle in space that left him with severe brain damage and limited knowledge of what he's capable of. And if y'all don't know, this pinky, weird yellow smiley thingy is a failed clone created by Weird Yellow Smiley Thingy, and this clone proceeded to grow and surpass him in strength. Like, bro, I don't even know what this lore even is. My boy created another version of himself just to get defeated by his version of himself, and now this guy's just dumb. Like, I don't even know, bro. Oh my goodness, that was actually some very interesting lore. Okay, because it's like the only Pillar Chase 2 character, I might rate him a little bit higher, but I'm not gonna lie, I think this guy's lore is super weird. My boy created some sort of universe, created a clone of himself, got defeated by a pink clone of himself, and now he's stupid and he can't release his true potential or anything like that? Bro, C tier right there. I think the lore is pretty funny. It's probably a B tier, but I'm just gonna place him in a C tier just because he's so goofy. Like, this guy actually deserves something. Like, I don't know, bro. And yes, this is gonna bring us on to 1X. So currently 1X doesn't have a proper personal origin, but their backstory is mainly tied to Shameless. So basically, Robloxia was attacked by a powerful and unknown individual, and Shameless, who was under the alias Telemon at the time, forged a council of legendary swords to strengthen Roblox's future defenses. This is where the sword fights on the heights comes into play, as this was their foundation. And as Shameless's power and influence grew, so did his arrogance. Apparently, Shameless was exposed to the Necrobloxicon, which is probably the same Necrobloxicon from the Slasher and maybe Roblox Pressure. And eventually, a chain of unknown events pushed Shameless to commit a selfish, culminating act that led to the creation of 1X. And this 1X is basically a physical manifestation of everything that Shameless despised within himself. Thus, the creation of hatred is born. Now, obviously, this creation of hatred became Shameless's arch nemesis, embodying his arrogance, selfishness, and hunger for power. Matter of fact, thanks to the modified Venom Shank sword, anyone that is killed by 1X did not respawn normally. Instead, they're gonna return as a rotten zombie with the sole purpose to serve 1X, which is actually very similar to what 1X did Forsaken. I actually like that a lot. Eventually, Shameless confronted his creation of hatred in a final battle at the sword fights on the heights. And yes, the outcome of this confrontation remains unknown. We don't really know who won or what's going to happen next. If I had to really guess, the Spectre probably took them and nobody won. And yeah, I think this lore is pretty cool. I actually like this guy's story because it has to do a lot with the creation of hatred LMS, how Shameless versus 1X is actually like a thing. And also I like how 1X is pretty much everything that Shameless hated about himself. It really shows you how hatred is a bad thing and you should learn and accept yourself. And yeah, let me put this in the S tier. I like this lore a lot. It's very cool. And yeah, people, that's actually going to be it for today's video. Yes, I know I didn't go over every Forsaken and Die of Death character. Yes, I know I only had one Pillar Chase 2 monster. I'll try to add some other games to it, and also do the other killers. But until then, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I really want to know because I like criticism and freedom of speech. I want to know what y'all think about it. And yeah, I'm just done here. Peace out. And before we end, I just want to give a huge shout out. Huge thanks to all my YouTube channel members. I love you people so much. Y'all are very generous and very genuine people out there. I appreciate y'all very much. If I can give y'all a hug, I'll give you a hug like right now. If you give me your permission, of course, like I had to get permission. And okay, fine, the rules is gonna be making funny cams, ain't gonna lie. So if you enjoyed, please like. If you guys didn't, please dislike. And yeah, this is this video.